Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the On Season. As always, we're live with you guys here on YouTube, so come on over and check us out. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. But man, we're exactly at almost 8 o'clock. We're exactly 1 week away start time of the NFL draft. So exciting week coming up. But of course, the Dolphins were in the news. We're gonna get into all the Jalen Ramsey stuff and Chris Grier's remarks in his pre-draft press conference, which was pretty sad to watch. I actually caught it live. And then we're going to finish off our scouting position group with the running backs. We've gone through about 120 prospect player cards. We're going to finish it with the running backs. But before we do all that, my partner Jason Sarney are happy to welcome and he's kind enough to give us about 15, 20 minutes of his time. Justin Melo from the Draft Network. Justin, thanks for joining us this evening.
Oh, pleasure's all mine. As you said, George, we're about a week out from the NFL draft. It's about time, right? This is a long process every year. It's nice when it finally gets here. We can kind of separate the truths from the lies and see what's really going to go down on Thursday evening.
Yeah, I kind of compare it to like Christmas morning. You ask Santa for what you want. Now, in a week from now, we'll finally see what is actually the gifts that are wrapped under the tree, what they actually are. All right, so I'll start here with the question. Cornerback now with the Jalen Ramsey stuff is clearly a huge need. I didn't think anything could surpass the interior defensive line, but it has. My first question, Will Johnson. Percentage chance he falls to 13? And B, is he the first corner taken?
Well, of course, Travis Hunter notwithstanding.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Which I get. That's fair. I knew where you were going with that.
Yeah.
Two-way stud, deserves his own category. I'm going to say there's about a 30-35% chance that Will Johnson is there, maybe slightly higher. Might be letting my own evaluation creep into that because I'm incredibly high on him. I think he's one of those prospects we're going to look back on and say that we overcomplicated. We do it every year, right? Where the pre-draft process is too long and we start second guessing and overthinking things. And now, look, I get why we're asking a lot of questions about Will Johnson. He came into this 2024 season as one of the best prospects in all of college football, and that's regardless of position, in my opinion. Of course, the Wolverines were coming off the Natty. He was their best defensive player, in my opinion. This past year, of course, the team not as good as they were the year before. I thought his performance suffered a little bit too. I don't think he was quite as good as he was in 2023. And then you've got the whole pre-draft workout thing where he just, from what I understand, would have had opportunities to work out for teams, but declined that opportunity. It's going to always raise questions about your long speed, especially at corner, right? Why don't you want teams having that information? I'm going to choose, to acknowledge it, not ignore it, but I'm going to trust the tape. I think this guy's an outstanding corner. The instincts are off the charts. The ball production proves it from a pass breakups and interception point of view. Scheme versatile, man coverage, zone coverage. He looks athletic on tape to me. He's got great size for the position. Because of all those questions, I guess there's a chance that he's there at 13, a half decent chance, right? Like I said, a 35-40%. If he is there, he is my number one corner. Again, Travis Hunter notwithstanding. And if the Dolphins want to go corner and he's there, I'd sprint that card to the podium.
Well, I could everything you just said. Like I was talking backstage with Jason. I'm currently finalizing my big board top 100. Spoiler alert: Will Johnson's number 4. And when you do these boards, you realize there's not a ton of blue chip prospects in this draft. And people are overthinking this. A 6'2" outside corner who can drive and plant like him don't come around too often. This stuff about Barron, going ahead of him, would surprise me. I like Barron. He's probably around 18 or so in my rankings. He's a Swiss Army knife. He has 1 year production on the outside. My question with Barron is, I know we're hearing about all the versatility. Tell me what he is just as an outside corner. Because I get worried about all the other stuff, right? We're talking about he's a slot. I need an outside corner. Take all the rest away. Is he Brian Branch or is he an outside corner?
I tend to lean that he's a Brian Branch, maybe a Minkah Fitzpatrick, who you had there once upon a time, maybe a little Javon Holland. I don't think that one quite as much, but I do think Minkah, I do think Brian Branch, like you said, I'm with you. I've got concerns about the ability to play outside corner on a full-time basis. That's why I've got, Will Johnson as far and away as my number one corner when I compare the two. For me, I'm not comfortable with the evaluation and outside. I don't think he's got great size to play out there on a full-time basis. I do think he's going to be a nickel. And look, those guys are important in today's league, right? We know it's all about combating 11 personnel, pass-happy league. You can move him around. I thought Javon Holland, Minka Fitzpatrick, those guys were so good for the Dolphins in recent years, and they found a way to have huge impacts on the defense. But if you're looking outside corner, you're looking to replace Jalen Ramsey, for example, he's not that, in my opinion. So I would tread carefully with that evaluation.
Yeah, he's 13's a little rich for me. Again, the tape is good. I just think we're mixing up here. Is a sum of all what he does better than the actual individual trait as an outside corner. That scares me. And I didn't see 4.39 on tape, as much as he ran. So that kind of concerns me. I'll let you go, Jason, in a second here. But let's talk day two corners. Ravel, if he makes it to day two, the Dolphins have a pick at 48. I'm a big Benjamin Morrison fan. I know the hip injury is a concern, but I'm a big fan of his tape. And Azare Thomas, big press corner, like those guys a lot. And I guess Trey Amos is the other guy.
Yeah, I think Siobhan and Benjamin Morrison, I think those two guys, the first you mentioned, I think they're first-round corners in terms of talent, but obviously the injuries might push them down the board a little bit. Now, on Revel, I would be a little surprised if he makes it all the way to 48. I guess we'll see what kind of impact that ends up having, the injury on his projection. But I think that's a terrific football player, first-round player on tape. With Benjamin Morrison, I think coming in, there was some, obvious projections that he was going to be a first-round player. But I'm not really getting, certainly not getting that anymore, ever since the injury. And I didn't think he played his best ball this past season when he was healthy. So I think Benjamin Morrison's a great shout to potentially be there at 48. And the Florida State kid, like you said, 6'2", the size is outstanding. He's aggressive on the boundary, ability to play press man. If I'm looking for a Jalen Ramsey, replacement like for like, and I want one of those bigger guys on the outside that can really play it. I don't want the Jahdae Barron question. And I'm not taking it at 13, for example. I'm not going Will Johnson. I'm filling that defensive line need. Maybe it's an offensive lineman. I think there's some holes there in Miami as well. If I'm waiting till the second round to get my corner, I think Florida State might be the best scheme fit for defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver.
Yeah. All right, Jason. I know you got a couple questions.
Great stuff, Justin, on the corners. I tend to agree. I think that they have to get a corner in the top two picks. And I think after 48, it kind of falls off talent-wise. So I think Thomas would be kind of like that perfect fit if they do wait and he falls to 48. But I want to move and flip the other side of the ball to what is kind of a luxury potential for the Dolphins, the tight end position. Are you on if Tyler Warren is there, you got to get him. And what is your top five?
My top five tight ends at
Correct,
the position?
yeah.
Or
yes.
So, yeah, I do have Tyler Warren at number one. Certainly, I think that he's truly special. I've got Colston Loveland as like your 1B. I think he's really close to that. I think the top two in the second round are going to be Elijah Arroyo out of Miami and Mason Taylor out of LSU. I think those two are outstanding football players. Pass catching first type guys, and with the athleticism to threaten the seam, tough assignments and coverage for safeties and linebackers. I don't think I'm forgetting one, but my number five might surprise you a little bit. I think Miami has shown a little interest. I really like Terrence Ferguson out of Oregon. I think that's a guy that's going to come in and play a really good, a two-way role. When I say that, of course, is, unlike some of those I just mentioned, especially Arroyo and Taylor, I think Ferguson's really good in line. I think he's competitive and he plays down there in the trenches and he's quite good at that. But I think there's also some pass catching upside with him, and he could be a weapon in the passing game. Now, he's not going to have the upside as a pass catcher as the first four that I mentioned, but you do have the possibility. I think Loveland is very versatile, so I'll stop myself there. But I think he's more versatile than the other three, than like a Tyler Warren, Elijah Arroyo, and Mason Taylor. So I'm really high on Terrence Ferguson. I'll throw in one sleeper too. Not sure exactly where he falls, but I like sleeper. I mean, he played at Notre Dame, but I like Mitchell Evans out of Notre Dame as well. I mean, phenomenal size. I just had a great conversation with him yesterday. Yeah, I got a great conversation. I got that interview coming soon on the Draft Network with Mitchell Evans. But big kid, like you said, to get on the field at Notre Dame as a young guy, he had to play wide, right? He had to go in line and block. But then he had an ACL in 2023. It was brutal. Comes back this year. He talked to me about how hard he worked. Leads the team in receptions. Well, yeah, like 43 catches, 600-something yards, or give or take. Really interested in that kid on day 3 as well.
Yeah, I like Ferguson. I think Ferguson, Evans, there's some 3-down potential with those two guys. Like I think you mentioned it best. I have Loveland right there with Warren. I think Loveland's frame is just going to get bigger. He's long, he's massive, unbelievable route runner. I'm a big fan.
We're overcomplicating these Michigan guys this year because I feel like the Will Johnson. It's the same thing with Loveland. I'm like, look, the numbers weren't as good in 2023. The passing offense was terrible this past year. Try not to fault him too much for that. There's only so much he could have done with that quarterback situation. I think he's an outstanding football player, a prospect we're overthinking. Don't be shocked if we look back a year from now, 2-3 years from now, and he was, certainly the best tight end in this class.
Wow.
Yeah.
One last tight end follow-up question. There's another Dolphins, DNA player, Rondé Gadsden II. He was a wide receiver that converted to tight end. Do you think that he can convert back to wide receiver? Do you think he's going to be NFL pigeonholed as a tight end?
He's not going to hold up as a blocker, right? Like he's not going to hold up in line, and you're not going to, and Mike McDaniel does these things where it's like, I need my tight end to chip off the line, especially in the run game, right, where they're so creative and effective. I think he's a pass catcher first and foremost. I like the athleticism. I like the pass catching upside. If I'm drafting him, I better have the right plan for him. And the plan is I know what his limitations are, and I'm not going to ask him to do something he can't do. So if the Dolphins are going to take him, primarily play him as a pass catcher, that could work. Don't make him something he's not. I don't think he's coming in and playing a versatile role.
Agreed.
Yeah. You mentioned Michigan. Let's move on to the defensive tackle. There's one at Michigan, Kenneth Grant.
Yeah.
We all assume Mason Graham probably goes 5 to Jacksonville, or if not, maybe a little bit down. At 13, if they're going D tackle, how do you like the Grant, Harmon, Nolan kind of ranking? And who would you go with there?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think Kenneth Grant, pairs sheer, raw, overwhelming power, right? Like it's just what he does to offensive linemen in a phone booth is illegal, I think, in 37 states. But it's really, really impressive to watch him on tape. At 13, you've got to be comfortable with the fact that I don't know that there's a ton of pass rushing upside there. Like I don't know that he's going to be a guy that's going to give you double-digit sacks on an annual basis. I don't know that he's that. But I don't really care personally, right? Because I think he's going to create havoc in the backfield. He's going to collapse the pocket. He's going to rack up more pressures than sacks, and he's going to help those. They got some talented D-edges there in Miami. He's going to help them get home because of what he's going to do to create havoc in the backfield. So I'm a huge fan of him. I think he's certainly the safest of the 3 that you just gave me. Derek Harmon's got a lot of pass rushing potential. I wish he was a bit more consistent on tape. I think there are flashes where you just don't see it. And then there are flashes that make you go, oh my, he could be the best tackle in this class. I do think both are going in the first round with Harmon. I think the Bengals and the Steelers are going to be really into him a little bit later. I don't think it'll be the Dolphins at 13. To conclude with Walter Nolan, I mean, that's the biggest risk you could take of the 3, right? Like he's so dominant when he's on, but as I'm sure you pay a lot of attention to the draft. There's all these alleged character questions, and scouts have raised red flags. I don't think I'm doing that at 13, especially for a guy that I don't necessarily consider to be an every down premium talent. Like there's going to be a premium talent there for Miami at 13. If I was picking at 25 and Walter Nolan is there, I mean, I'm not saying I would do it for sure, but I would think about it in that situation. I'm not thinking about Walter Nolan at 13.
Yeah. I agree, and I think the Dolphins are not going to go with guys with character concerns this offseason. But I think Nolan, if he really loves football, he could be really good. Like he could be
absolutely
as good as he wants. I mean, I think I agree with you. So, thinking about that, there's a lot of depth though in this defensive tackle. I was doing like I said this in the beginning of the process. Like I remember when Kenyon Benton was coming out. There's like 5 or 6 Kenyon Bentons in this draft. You know what I mean? Like they're at that 48. What are your thoughts on? I'm a big Alfred Collins guy. I think he's a big NFL ready now run defender. Tyreek Williams. Who are some of the guys you like there at 48? Darius Alexander.
I just talked to Alfred Collins about 30 minutes ago. I had a great time. Looking forward to dropping that interview as well. Just a big dude, like you said, pro-ready frame. I mean, it's 335 pounds, I think it was roughly at the combine. A little awkward as a pass rusher. I think he's still figuring out that part of his game, but real high-level stuff in the run game. My favorite one you just mentioned is Darius Alexander, the one out of Toledo. Again, we just dropped an interview with him a couple days ago.
Awesome.
I see, outwardly potential with that kid. I think he's also a really good run defender. I think he took some steps as a pass rusher this year, but I see the room to expand that area of his game, and I think he's going to do so at the next level. Certainly, I'm really pumped about him, and I like Tyreek Williams as well. You brought up three great players. I think all three of them should be in play at number 48 for Miami. If they don't go interior D-line at 13, which again, I don't think they will. I think it'll be a corner. I still think it could be an offensive lineman, if the board falls that way. Don't think it'll be a D tackle, but 48 would be a great spot to grab one. All three of those guys should be on Grier's short list.
Yeah, 13 is an interesting spot, because at beginning of this process, I said, man, there's going to be a player who falls to them at a position of their need, because they have a bunch of them, but like D-line, corner, even safety, offensive line. So as you see things shaping up at 13, give me your top three priorities you think the Dolphins should, like we mentioned, Barron for you is a little rich, I'm assuming, right? For me too. Give me three guys you say, I think one of them will be there. These are the three I would focus on, and that's the right pick for the Dolphins.
Yeah, I'll go Will Johnson, the corner, of course, who we talked about. One who I think's not getting enough, credit. I said this on a Dolphins podcast earlier today. Will Campbell. I'm not as sold that he's going to the Patriots like a lot of people are, right? And I said this, I cover the Titans. Mike Vrabel. I don't know that the short-armed tackle with a historically short wingspan. I don't know that that's the direction New England goes at number 4. And if they don't, I start having a hard time seeing where he goes. I don't think it's Vegas. I don't think it's New Orleans. And, those teams I think are more in the market for a pure right tackle. I don't think you're going to ask him to do that at right tackle, right? You've got Colton Miller in Vegas, yada, yada. You got Fuaga in New Orleans. You just drafted him and switched positions. If he gets past New England, I think there's a chance he's there for Miami at 13. And I'll tell you why I would like it. I think there's a hole at left guard. I don't like what they've got at left guard right now in Miami. I think he could come in, play left guard right away, be an upgrade. But at the same time, the quiet part that I'm not saying out loud, if Patrick Paul doesn't work out at left tackle, that's still a projection. We don't know what's going to happen there. If Will Campbell plays left guard well the first year and maybe he's also your left tackle of the future, right? You might have enough confidence in him to play both. I know this probably sounds a little crazy, galaxy brain, whatever. If he gets past New England at 4, you tell me who's taking him. I don't know who's doing it in the top 10. I can't find a spot that makes sense. So I think there's a sneaky good chance that he's there at 13, and I think Miami should make that pick if he is. I know all Miami, we're talking about the D-line, we're talking about the corners. I do not like what they have up front at all on the offensive line. I think that should be just as much in play as the other positions that we just discussed. So I'll go Will Johnson. I'll go Campbell. And then for me, it's a tie almost. Kenneth Grant. I know safety. I really like Malachi Starks in this class as well. I'd probably go with Grant and Starks as a tie for that third place.
I'm really glad you mentioned Will Campbell to move him to left guard. I think that would be a great play insurance. And if God forbid Patrick Paul doesn't work out, last year it didn't work out, but at least you have a left tackle and then you can figure yourselves out. This eerily reminds me, if he drops, different scenario, but of the Laramie Tunsil scenario where the Dolphins drafted a falling tackle, played him at guard rookie year, and then he was obviously the future tackle before.
I forgot that he played guard.
They had Brandon Albert at left tackle, and then they drafted him because he fell, and then played the rookie.
They had a heck of an offensive line that year.
That was one of the. It's been a long time, but last question, and thank you again, Justin, for your time. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Do you see the Dolphins potentially trading back if those guys? Campbell does get drafted. Tyler Warren gone. Will Johnson gone. Is there a list that you can't trade out of, or do you think Miami could move back a little bit, pick up a pick in the middle of the rounds?
I get the vibe that there's going to be someone there at 13 that they really like. I think a premium player, right? Like a Will Johnson, a Will Campbell. Maybe it's one of the tight ends, right? I know that might not be super popular, but if Tyler Warren's their number 4 player on their big board and he's there, I think that's something you've got to consider. And again, as you said earlier, George, in a draft that lacks blue chip talent, right? So I get the vibe based on the way I see the board falling. Hopefully, I'm sure Miami's hoping as many quarterbacks go as possible, right? It's always pushes other talent down the board. I get the vibe that there's going to be someone there that they really like. They don't strike me as one of the trade down teams. I mean, they've already got a ton of, they got 10 picks this year, I think it is. Yep. So they're loaded on capital. I mean, it's always nice to pick up future capital, of course, but they're loaded on capital this year. They could already afford a luxury pick or two in like those middle rounds where they've got a couple of extra picks. So I think they're going to stick and pick at 13.
Yeah, well, we appreciate your time here. We don't want to keep you any longer. This was a great interview. We have to do it again when you have more time because everything you said kind of mirrored my thoughts. It's like we talked before. But before we let you out of here, tell everybody what you got going on. We have great interviews, and we'll try. I'll try to get them in the box here and the link in the description to try to get everybody traffic to your interviews because you do a great job. Let everybody know where they can find you and what you got going on in the Draft Network.
Yeah, please, everyone head over to thedraftnetwork.com. We've got you covered all week long. More than 300 scouting reports up now on the site. We just relaunched our mock draft machine. I'm so excited about that. If you haven't played with it yet, you're going to be blown away at it. The way it looks, its accuracy, the way it operates. Go over to thedraftnetwork.com. All you need is a free account to play around with the mock draft machine. If you guys haven't tried it yet, it's gonna blow you away when you get to play a 7-round projection. It is. I mean, I'm spending way too much time on there. It is so much fun. We spent a lot of time kind of creating that and getting it ready to relaunch. Absolutely love the look of the new mock draft machine. And then I'll leave with my interview series. I'm closing in on 200 interviews. I've sat down with 200 prospects in this draft class. A bunch of them are going to be Miami Dolphins next weekend, just by the sheer numbers. I can guarantee that. So go ahead. We've created a tab on the website for my interviews. So go to the interview section. You're going to find interviews, by the way, with Will Johnson. I think I'm sitting down with Will Campbell in a couple of days. Like about Malachi Starks, I just did that. That's going to be dropping soon. You talked about the 3D tackle second round. I sat down with Darius Alexander. I sat down with Alfred Collins today. I sat down with Tyleek Williams. We've got interviews with all of them. So make sure you head over there, play around with the mock draft machine, read the scouting reports, check out the interviews. We've got you covered all draft weekend long.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. You were great. Let's do it again post-draft sometime. We could finally put some faces to these teams.
You guys know where to find me. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Take care, man.
Thank you, Justin. Have a great one.
Pleasure.
Bye. That was awesome.
Oh, great interview,
That was
guys.
great. Thank you to Justin. That was fantastic.
Yeah, he basically what I told you backstage, he repeated the Will Johnson stuff.
Hey, man.
Yeah,
I'm all for it. I'm all for what he said.
Yeah, because that was great. So everybody, please go check out Justin's work at the Draft Network. I will get it in the description box sometime after the show with links to all his stuff. Well, everybody, while we're getting into the real news of the week, not really the draft, is all the Dolphins chaos. Come on over to YouTube, guys. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Help support us. We really appreciate it. If you're watching anywhere else, make sure you come on over to YouTube. We really, really do appreciate it. And I especially do. All right. Jason, you had a nice vacation while you were gone. Little chaos. The Jalen Ramsey news broke that they agreed to part ways. We'll get into the Chris Grier pre-draft presser. But here's what doesn't make sense to me. Okay. I guess we'll talk about the Jalen Ramsey part and we'll combine Chris Grier's comments is if A, he didn't ask for a salary cut, B, supposedly he didn't ask for the trade, why the heck are you trading him? And if you really were going to trade him, this is something that would have happened in March. Okay, you just paid him a roster bonus, I believe. Look, it's simple. I've heard a lot of things behind the scenes about the players see this situation. They don't like it. Beef with the coaching staff. They see this as a sinking ship, and he's just one of them. And this organization is hiding a lot of things, and they're doing a good job or trying to do a good job of covering up. But this makes no sense to me. I don't know why they don't just admit that they're going in a different direction, or he wants to go in a different direction, and we're going to go younger at that position. Tried it. Maybe you can explain it to me, Jason. Maybe you're smarter than me. What's the reason behind this?
I don't know if there's 1,000% truth one way or the other. If it was asked by one party to the other, who knows if we will ever know the 1,000% truth. But when you put everything together, the model of trading for veterans, turning them into your leaders when they haven't been there that long, and then they want to leave, or they are going to be traded because it's not working out, the model's not working. So you have the Jalen Ramsey trade that's going to be a loss because you're probably not going to be able to get anything significant in this draft form because the pre-June 1st trade is not as economically sound as a post-June 1st. So now you're looking at 2026 draft capital, which is probably not going to be a lot if you look at around the league what has happened with comparable or even offensive veterans, third, fourth rounders at really best. So it's going to be a loss on the Jalen Ramsey era, albeit a couple of fun moments. And that's what really this Dolphins quarter century and beyond has been. It's been failures of team builds with some bright moments. And that's not good enough. And the Ramsey situation, I don't think is going to be a win in any which way unless they do something extremely creative this draft, move up a fourth to a second with Ramsey and something else. I don't know. It's unlikely. So I think that we're heading in for an annoying couple of months with the Ramsey scenario, and then hopefully post June 1, there's some sort of a decent compensation package. But the draft is in play if they want to really play around with picks for those two superstars who are or going to be X-Factors.
Here's what bothers me. They think we're not intelligent or we don't understand what's going on as a fan base. It's pretty clear. You know what the problem is, though, Jason? They don't have a direction. They don't have a plan. Oh, Tyreek's available. Let's go trade for him. Let's switch from acquiring picks to trading them all. Let's try to do what the Rams did. Didn't work. All right. This is the problem when it doesn't work. And now Jalen Ramsey, he just doesn't believe this team's going to win. He wants out. That's what it comes down to.
That's basically the long and the short of it, is because you've seen other players without saying it, say it. And listen, all due respect to players like Teron Armstead, who is retired, different scenario than Calais Campbell, who has said, I want to win or I want to play one more year, but thank you, I'm not going to do it here. That screams something without it being right in front of our faces, but it's just unfortunate. There's 7 captains in the last 2 years that the Dolphins are not going to go into next year with, even if they didn't have some for this year. But unbelievable.
No, it is. And then now they didn't re-sign Fuller, which is fine. And then now all of a sudden, you couldn't tell me they didn't plan to move on from Ramsey, right? This was not
no.
Just based on the timeline, they didn't plan this.
No.
So now they're stuck with basically no corners, and don't even bring up Cam Smith. We'll talk about his Cam Smith comments. He did call out Cam Smith in his pre-draft. Yeah, not taking any accountability. That might have just been the wrong pick, and the kid can't play. Like, maybe Vic Fangio was right. So that happens, and now you have no corners. You don't have a starter at defensive tackle. You're telling me this team has to have a draft that they basically have never had before, like a defensive draft like Jimmy Johnson is running it. You're going to have a draft of 3 or 4 impact players. And whatever street free agents are left, which he mentioned, there's a deep street free agent class. You're going to have to hit it on. Everything's going to have to go right. Everything. Yeah. For Tua to stay healthy, Tyreek to get his stuff together, and then maybe you can win 9 or 10 games. That's the ceiling, right? But don't try to sell us this is not a reset, that word's not being used. What do you call it? Maybe you just call it you don't have a plan. You don't know what the heck you're doing. That's the truth. And Jason, it starts at the top with the owner.
Yeah.
I'm done blaming Grier. I'm done blaming McDaniel. There's no leadership in this organization from the top down. The Grand Prix is more important to him than the football team. It's time to admit that, right? That's what it looks like. As long as they're relevant and winning 9 games and selling 2 jerseys, he's fine with that. But us as the fans, we're the ones that suffer, right? Maybe we're the problem. We shouldn't suffer that much. But this organization has no leadership. continually 25 years of continuous of minutia of bad decisions, and it's never going to stop till he's not there. And poor Chris Grier, I actually felt sorry for him. He looked like a guy, and that's big for me. He looked like a guy who was defeated, he knew he didn't have any answers for the questions that were coming. He admitted his bunch of his mistakes. I'll let you. That was kind of sorry for the rant, but
not at all, man. Keep it going, dude.
It's what it is, right? And speaking of Chris Grier, did you watch that press conference? What did you think of it? Let's break down. I'll get into it, but I got a lot to say about it. I'll let you go ahead.
I mean, it's defeated, sure, kind of man without a plan. I have yet to figure out what his specific plan is or ever was, because it's replication. I've said this before. I'll say it again. He tried to replicate the Patriots. He tried to replicate the Niners. Now it seems like there's a trying desperately to cut base like the Rams. You know what I mean? But he's been in the building so long where there have been things that he's done well. There have been pats on the back, sure, but there hasn't been progress after those things. Why not keep some of the guys that you've hit on? The fact that you can look at the 2020 draft as a failure, it was a failure. I mean, it was 10 picks. I mean, are we in for this again where, oh my God, we have 10 picks. That draft had 3 first-rounders. And we all know that he let a number of players go from previous drafts that have hit. So, or we're in the process of hitting, and they've been playing even better outside of Miami. So I don't feel bad for Grier. I'm annoyed because I was one of the biggest Grier fans on the planet until I had to just have that broken glass moment in my mind where it's just like, enough's enough. And obviously it's clear that last year's offseason was the final straw for me. And now things are unraveling.
The window closed.
The window's been abruptly shut.
You got to properly adjust.
Not only has the window been shut on this regime and this kind of like last 10 years, it's like that scene in Old School where you can't get back into the frat house because they boarded up the doors and the windows. It's done. It's a brand new rebuild. I don't want to hear it's a soft. It's a reset. It's done. There's
they won't
a
even
rebuild
admit that,
coming.
Jason.
They have to.
What
are we, idiots?
He didn't admit it. He said his exact words. That word's not being used around the building. Then what is it being used around? Incompetency? Because I don't know what else.
Being used outside the building.
Yeah. Oh, I can tell you that. Yeah. It's a long list of words. But let's get into some of the things he said, because when I watched it, it was uncomfortable. It was. Yeah. I've never seen Grier like this. He was like tired, almost like he knew, like, man, I know what's coming, and I'm gonna try to answer these questions. Like, for example, he asked about the leadership. He says Zach Sealer, pauses, and you know who the next name he mentioned? Tyreek Hill. I don't care. And he says Tyreek Hill in the building. Tyreek's in the building. That could be true. You do not mention his name as a leadership right now with all the nonsense he does off the field. Okay? Whether he got arrested or not means nothing to me. There was an incident after incident after incident. And you know who we left out of that? Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not your quarterback, that's a problem.
What's that? It could be that. It could be. Yeah. It could be he just forgot. Right. But to name Tyreek, not name Tua, there is no leadership on this team. There's no leadership in the locker room, the head coach, or the front office, right? Or the owner. That's the problem, right? And it all comes down, and you saw it all pour out in that press conference. They have an issue with this thing is imploding from inside out, it looks like. Now, I'm not saying it's doomsday. Again, there's a scenario. This team stays healthy, because whether you like Tua or not, a healthy Tua, a healthy Tyreek Hill, and a healthy offense, they'll win you 9 games. All right? I'm pretty firm on that. I don't know if chat, you might agree or you might not agree, but I'm pretty firm. But there's too many things that have to go right that haven't gone right for that to happen. And not only that, he mentions the leadership. Then he talks about, then I was blown away. I'm just trying to think of everything. I was blown away when he admitted that he deferred too much. I was just blown away. So maybe one positive I'll take out of this is that maybe him admitting, like, yeah, I've gone for traits that my coaches want. I haven't gone for, like, the players I want. Maybe he's more of a high football character and loves the game, more physical, more tough. Maybe the guy doesn't run a 4.38. Maybe he leaned in too much to that. Maybe he's like tired of it, says, hey, if I'm going to go down I'm going to do a draft that I want. That's the kind of vibe I got. So I'm almost not expecting – I'm expecting a high floor draft with NFL-ready players, which we expected the last few years, more than a Devon A-Chain or Jaden Blue. I mean, look, they could always do that, or Bashal Tutin, who we'll talk about in the running back list. They could always go that route. Maybe McDaniel bangs the table for one guy. But it seems to me that maybe that's the only positive we could take out of this, Jason.
I think this draft is the best player available of major position of need. I know that's a lot of words, but if you combine best player available and what the Dolphins need out of their 10 picks, I guarantee that you can make an argument for at least half of them that will match. Oh, wow, look who's available. One of these best player available, usually 1, 2, 3 players, best player available of these positions that are available. I think the Dolphins can make a pick anywhere. So if you're looking in the second round and there's 2 or 3 players, a cornerback, a defensive lineman, and a tight end, you take what you didn't take in the previous round or what you can't get in the next round. But you draft position of need, the best player available.
Shout out to everybody in the chat. Kenna, you two, Utah Fins fan, Fin Sammy, the Dive Bar. What's up, fellas? How you guys doing? Check them out. Check out Fin Sammy and all the stuff he has at Fins TV. Everybody in the chat, Chris, Bobby Finstalk, also check them out, the Finstalk Sports Network. But Ken has a question. So he's saying, okay, so if he deferred too much. No, I'm not saying Tua wasn't his pick.
No, that wasn't just Tua.
That pick is a organizational
pick.
The owners involved, the GM. That's a big.
They were in love with Tua from the throw that won the national.
I'm talking about Jalen Wright. I'm talking about Eric Ezukama maybe wasn't the guy he wanted, or maybe Patrick Paul wasn't the perfect guy he wanted. He was more of a tradey, long. They went with the length set of the guy who they think is ready now. Numerous picks. No Igbenogany, right? I'm not. I don't really know who the problem in the organization is. We don't know who really was responsible for every pick because there's so many people deferring. Your GM is not convicted on any player. He's deferring to every coach. So you really don't know what exactly was his pick, but it's obvious that he kind of delegates to what his coaches want. And it's the reason, in fairness, though, Mr. Grier, it's the reason why you've been here so long, because you can always pass the blame. But it seems like to me, he knows the rope is at the end for him being the decision maker solely in the draft. I think there could be an actual promotion for him in the future, but more as an oversee kind of guy. I think he knows the draft. Him having final say in the draft might be coming to an end soon. So I think he's going to do it maybe his way if this is his last draft he runs. That's what I mean, Kenya. No, quarterback in the top 5, that's an organizational decision. Jason, you agree with that, right?
The pick was Tua. I mean, it was 10 for Tua. It didn't work out. He got hurt. Burrow became the number 1. The Dolphins landed with Tua anyway. That was the future. That was the plan. It's not necessarily a home run. Right now, it's like a single, and you don't want to get picked off at first. But, yeah, he has deferred. He has passed on a guy like a Justin Jefferson to select Austin Jackson. And in the same round, he picks Noah Igbenogany, and you're passing on several other offensive players that could help your quarterback. And these are 2 of the youngest players in the draft where you could have gotten. I mean, it was nice that these are young players. We're going to develop them. No, you draft a quarterback. You get him a nice, shiny BMW weapon like a Justin Jefferson. You probably could have gotten Austin Jackson in the pick that you got Noah Igbenogany, and they still went with Robert Hunt in the next round, which was great, but they didn't keep Robert Hunt. It's ridiculous.
Their plans are always upside down. Right. They don't know what they're doing.
Let me give you another one. I'm not even going with the Whopper.
Yeah.
Of not re-signing. The Whopper of not re-signing Andrew Van Ginkel. Forget about the Andrew Van Ginkel thing. Just put that aside for a second.
I know that bothers you, huh?
One of the worst safety performances in the season was this year. And Brandon Jones had a hell of a year in Denver. And you drafted him in that 2020 draft, the foundational build draft. I know you couldn't keep everyone on this team. I know it. Christian Wilkins, once he played himself out of that initial potential number of a contract, he was gone. Midway through the season, he was gone. But if you can't keep one of or 2 of Robert Hunt, homegrown drafted, Brandon Jones, homegrown drafted, problem at the offensive line, problem in the safety division. And you let a guy with minimal snap count, extreme productivity, and Andrew Van Ginkel gone, and he becomes an all-pro. It's enough.
You know what they're doing is they're a guy becomes available, a Chubb or Hill, whoever. They sign these high-priced guys instead of just re-signing. They give up capital instead of just re-signing their own guys. That's what they're doing. You sign your own guys. That's how you build. That's how you build leadership in your organization. You have no leadership because I love Calais Campbell, but it's nuts that you bring a guy in post-draft and he's your team leader. That tells you everything you need to know about your head coach and the leadership on that team. Instead of re-signing their own guys, Christian Wilkins, Robert Hunt, regardless of the money, you should have done it a year before, right?
Yeah, that was the mistake.
You trade and give up capital for guys because you think they're blue chip and they're going to get you over the top, and you let the guys go that you drafted in your original plan. The plan's upside down. They never have one. They change year by year. It's insane, and that's leadership, Jason. That's the problem, and that's the problem the last 25 years. Bad decisions.
You look at some of the, I mean, we can go back years and years. I know we haven't won anything significantly, but you look at some of the best Dolphins, some of the best Dolphin leaders, they were homegrown, kind of lifelong Dolphins, and they're not a ton of them. There really aren't a ton of them. I mean, the last guy that I could really think that started and ended with the Dolphins that was a captain that was drafted was like Rashad Jones. You know what I mean? It's like, who else has really been that? I mean, I know Xavier Howard hasn't played for another team yet, you know, or will he ever? But
yeah, and the problem really is their problem is what they did in 24 off season. You touched Jalen Ramsey's contract twice. Tyreek Hill's again. You didn't need to do that. Then you didn't need to do all those three things. And now one guy quit on the end of the season, said he won out, then regretted it. And another guy, whether you want to say or not, wants out. And another guy is, was upset with the organization at the end of the year because he didn't play. And he's always injured. And what happened? He still got injured. You should have not touched that contract either and let him play in the 5th-year option. Because let me ask you this. What do you think the Dolphins would have done if they played the 5th-year option with Tua and they didn't sign him to that long-term right now? I mean, think about it. You would have had Jalen Ramsey issue, no problem. You don't owe him anything. Tyreek Hill, off the books. Now you can reset. It's okay. It didn't work out. The window closed. But you got what you deserved. You drafted a quarterback who teams had off their board because of injuries. He's a heck of a starting quarterback. But what did you expect? And this is the result. And we are here now where we are with a crossroads of at the organization with the same guy running it again.
Listen, I think that there is look, they're bringing people in. There might be a planned place to kind of transition.
Cam Kelly. Yeah.
Yep. But you mentioned this could be a 9-win team. I'm not giving a win total even close until I see what happens with the draft. I see exactly who's on this roster in training camp, the schedule, where it comes out. I'm not optimistic, man. I'm really not. I'm going into this season one of the least optimistic ways.
Everything's got to go right. They got to do things they haven't done before. Home run draft and sign 3-4 Calais Campbell's post June. And
not if they want to.
Now we should probably calm down. I'm sorry, guys, if I yelled. I was hot. I'm passionate. You know that. But now, finally, we come to the end. This is our last group of running back prospects, and this is a position I think the Dolphins need to add some size in. It's a really deep class. What do you say we head into that running back group? Before that, everybody come on over to YouTube. Make sure you hit that smash, that thumbs up, like button, that little bell to subscribe to the channel. I got a lot of content coming up here and things coming up on the channel, so make sure you do that. All right, you ready to get into the last group? We got almost 120 prospects we went over. Let's start with the running backs. And let's start with the top. Let me catch my breath here, and let's get into the draft. Let's get into the stuff that keeps me calm, the draft stuff. All right. Listen, this guy comes in right away, is a 1,500-yard rusher. I've watched a lot of running backs. It was my favorite position growing up to scout, to watch. He has the best contact balance I've seen probably in 10 or 15 years or even more. The speed, the burst, the power he has. He's a ready now superstar that I'm telling you he can come in and be a 15, even 1,600-yard rusher, and he's probably going to go in the top 6 or 7, Jason.
Yeah, and everyone's seen how good he is. He leads the nation the last couple of years in broken tackles. He's a monster. He's an absolute freak. you could say he's one of the best 4, 5, 6 players in the draft. If he's available at 13 to the Dolphins draft, the running back, I don't think this is the time to do that. And I do think he'll be drafted before that. But yeah, he's going to be a heck of a player. I can't wait to see him on a fantasy team or of mine.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's the real deal.
Real deal. And people talk about his long speed. Let me tell you something about his long speed. He had, I believe, 9, was it? I wrote it down. 20, I think it was like some crazy 50 yards or more rushing, a 50-yard or more rush in 9 of his 14 games.
Yeah.
So long speed's fine. And B, you tell me, you go watch the tape. Anybody who's watching right now, you tell me where he's got caught from behind in the open field. I haven't seen it once. So forget all that junk. He didn't run. This is a superstar. This is a guy who's your lead back, primary back, workhorse, 1,500 yards, and a draft that doesn't have a ton of blue chip prospects. He's one of them. I know Dive Bar, they got the eye emoji. Yeah, I don't think we're going to get a shot at him. I'm assuming that's Bobby. All right. Anything else to add on the
everyone know, you get what you see. You know what you're getting with him.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to number 2, and that is another guy, Omarion Hampton, who I've been hearing could even go high, 10 to the Bears. I think he's a first-round pick. I don't see him. I don't see him going that high. But again, when you talk about him, Omarion Hampton is a big downhill physical runner. He's got the size. His lower body strength is impressive. The way he breaks arm tackles through the contact balance with that lower half. He's just a real powerful, when he gets up full speed and he gets there quick, he's got some long speed. It's tremendous. He's a physical downhill, partly more of a power gap, but he can run zone. And also one thing I want to mention about the Dolphins here is not every running back we got to get is got to be a guy who can run the wide zone. All right. This team needs to change their personnel a little bit and have a little bit more of a package of a power running scheme. And so if we're going to draft the running back, Jason, I want it to be different. I want it to be somebody this size, this power. Your thoughts on Omarion Hampton?
He's a complete back. I think if a team really needs that kind of old school, just 30 kind of touch guy almost, he's can fit that bill. He's a great pass catcher out of the backfield. He's only had like 2 career drops in college. I think he's got 72 receptions out of 80 targets. So chain mover, great running back, complete guy, first round for sure, first round.
Yeah. And Bobby, I'm assuming you're talking about the Penn State game in the playoffs where they bottled him up. I'm not worried about that. Was one game. I watched the full length of his tape, and dude's special. But yeah, I believe he's alluding to is that what you're alluding to, Bobby? You're talking about Genty, right? Dive Bar, was it the playoff game? I believe that was against Penn State, wasn't it? All right. Yeah, so Hampton is a feature. You said this is a featured back. This is a 3-down, power hill, downhill runner, featured back. And I like him a lot. Here's the thing. When we came into the draft process, I said, you know what? It's pretty close between Hampton and Genty. Genty moved, as I got into more of the film, Genty separated. I started seeing everything because it's one thing to watch a guy on Saturdays a couple times. I didn't watch many Boise State games. And it's one thing to watch the film and you start comparing it with the other guy. Genty separated. But I still like Hampton. I like his size. Again, he's somebody right now you can bring in as a featured 3-down back. And he's really good. He's got hands out of the backfield, but he is a powerful downhill runner. So I'm a big fan of Omarion Hampton. Anything else to add on Omarion Hampton?
Definitely first round. Yeah. I don't think he gets past like 22, 25.
I think Denver could be really looking at him. Yeah, at 20.
Yep.
I think that might be his floor. All right. Trevion Henderson. You want to start here?
Home run hitter. He can really break one on any time he touches the ball. Fast. I think he's second round. I mean, now you're getting to the second round. I mean, now I think there's going to be 2 first-round backs, and he's probably, a top 2 drafted second-round running back. Yeah, explosive.
Yeah, here's the thing with him. He is a Mike McDaniel dream. He's an outside zone. He has probably the best outside zone running. He probably has the best vision of all of them. Love his footwork. Love his ability to pass protect. He's got good speed. He missed in 22 and 23. He missed some time, a chunk of time with injuries. but he's the absolute perfect Dolphins fit. Like if Mike McDaniel said, "This is the guy I want on my for my team at running back," it'd be Trevion Henderson because he pass protects, he catches, he's got unbelievable foot quickness and vision on the outside zone. I mean, I think he's somebody who could probably, I've heard, sneak in late round 1, but to me, he's an early round 2 guy, Trevion Henderson. But you agree, perfect scheme fit, right?
Great, yeah, and great mix of a little physicality with explosion.
Yeah, he's got a little bit. Yeah,
he'll run over someone or kind of juke and do a little bit of both for his home run hitting. He's not afraid to mix it up. I like him.
All right, moving on to his teammate.
Yeah, of course.
Different, right? The one thing I'll say about Junkins is they both ran behind the same line, but the yards per carry were favored for Henderson. So you always got to look at that and wonder. But what I like about him is obviously he's a big guy. Like he's got NFL size, but he's really good in short yardage. He doesn't fumble. He's got burst. Yeah. He's powerful. He's got good vision. The thing with him is, unlike some other backs, like his pass protection is not as good as Henderson, and he's patient, but almost too patient. He's not decisive enough, right? Like it's good to be patient, but then when you see the whole develop, you explode. He kind of sometimes waits a little bit too much, and it kind of hurts him. But he's a guy, if he could go round 2, round 3. I'm a big Junkins fan. I think he's a guy, again, we don't need all outside zone schemes. These are the type of backs with the Dolphins I'm looking for in this particular draft, Jason.
Good frame, good body, kind of like tree trunks, like kind of like a really good rock of a frame, can really handle good inside running. You mix that with good offensive line play, he could be a really potent combination. Obviously, the Dolphins need to improve there if this is a guy they would consider too. But you mentioned he's got 1 fumble in his last 500 touches, so he can protect the ball when he goes through the middle. Good physicality.
Yeah. This is another guy. Could be an every down back. He could be a featured back.
He can block. He's like a willing blocker. Like it's not like
he's somebody who complements this room really well. Like we're gonna get into some guys coming up. Like this is actually a draft that McDaniel probably wish he didn't have drafted speed backs. Yeah, because there's a bunch of speed backs that I know he's gonna like. We just mentioned Henderson, but this is a perfect complement to the room. I like him. Again, in a power gap scheme, probably fits him the best. But again, we don't need to run outside zone all the time. I think that's part of our problem. You want to break some of that quarter defense or the cover, the too high, the shell coverage, run the football with the power running game. That'll bring guys up to the line. And nobody talks about that enough. You talk about improving, you got to improve the running game. That's how you get guys to come up. All right. Anything else to add on Quashon Junkins?
Nah, we covered the pair of Buckeyes well. We can move on from them.
Boy, what a backfield they had.
Yeah.
All right. You want to start with Devon H? I mean,
well, I mean, you say Devon H. But like,
I'm track guy.
8 touchdowns of 20.
Run the same 40.
More. He was the national leader in yards after contact. So this is a guy who just tracks speed, can get after contact, and can really hit that home run. So 4.32 speed, as you said. Fun guy. We already kind of like have a guy like that.
That's the problem.
Like, I'm all about the power backs.
So am I.
I'm all about this draft process, but this is a heck of a fun guy to track. He's gonna be a good pro. He's gonna be a fun pro to watch.
Yeah, that's the thing is what I'm talking about is like this draft is a Mike McDaniel. There's so many guys for Mike McDaniel in this draft, but we already have that, right? It's like there's a Michelle Tuden in a lot of drafts, right? Like he
can block too. It's like,
but here's what I don't like about him: 8 fumbles in the last 2 seasons. Not a good thing. But 1 cut home run hitter. Like it's the things you see with Devon A-Chain. I'm not comparing him to A-Chain, but the ability and when you seen what he did, what A-Chain did, especially in the 23 season. Special teams value, but just a true track guy, home run hitter, perfect zone fit for us. He can plant, drive, 1 cut, explode, and there's a few guys we're going to talk about who have that ability. He to me is a round, like I know McDaniel secretly probably would love him, but knows he probably can't draft another one. But like if he fell to the 5th round, maybe you say, okay, he's too good to pass up. This is kind of how we, this is kind of what we do here. He could be Devon A-Chain, kind of gets hurt replacement. So yeah. Anything to add on Tootin?
I see him as like one of those early day 3 picks. Like day 3 starts.
Yeah, I agree.
One of the first running backs off
Yeah,
the
like
board.
pick. When day 3 starts, yeah, the first 10 off the board.
Yeah.
He's probably one of them.
You're gonna see that name on Mel Kiper's best available for like a half. Who needs the track star back?
Yeah.
At that point of the draft.
Yeah, we got over 100 people watching. Guys, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you're coming over here on YouTube and watching this. All right. So let's get on to the next guy. All right, he's fun. He's fun. So I said this multiple times. My favorite thing to do is getting a list of prospects, watching them, and knowing about a guy, but then really finding out about him. Man, he's got some spin moves and jump cut moves and juke moves that are insane. His feet, his short area quickness, he can accelerate. This guy does run with timing. He presses the line ball, sets up his blocks, and knows when to explode. He's really good at that. He's just small. He's 5'8", he's 200 pounds, and he has ball security issues. If he was a little bigger with this ability, I like him a lot. He's just such a fun player, Jason.
No, you've been on this guy for quite a while.
Yeah.
And, the Dolphins, Tennessee, they draft from Tennessee a lot historically. It's one of the top 4 or 5 schools that they've drafted from. Jalen Wright, obviously. So it wouldn't shock me if they add him in, another track star, the high school track star kind of guy. But yeah, I mean, you gotta love him as a player.
Yeah,
he's kind of player.
He is tough, and he is tough between the tackles. A lot like A-Chain's tough. I'm not being to bring this back to A-Chain, but like for 200 pounds, he's 5'8". He's built.
He's not a complete back though. He's not.
Yeah, no, but he does run tougher than his size in between the tackles. He's only a 1-year starter, but yeah, day 3 guy probably. Yeah, I mean, he's in that Kenneth Gainwell mode, maybe something like that. Maybe think of that kind of player. This guy,
he could creep into the 3rd round, the end of the 3rd round.
Yeah, he could. It's a deep running back class, and guess what? Some of these running backs we're going to talk about from here on out on other drafts probably a round higher. It's a really, really deep draft. Like we're going to talk about 14, 15. I could go on to about 25 guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of backs,
All
and
right.
there will be some fun undrafted free agent backs. That
he protects the quarterback too. Octane coming in there with his scouting report. Thank you. We'll never win a playoff game if we don't get a bigger back. I agree with you. I was offered Derrick Henry. I was all for Derrick Henry. I was all for trying to get Najee Harris. There's plenty of blacks, and we're going to talk about him, man. Here, next guy, Caleb Johnson. You want to start with Caleb? Or you want me to go ahead?
I'll start off. He's a big physical guy, but he's kind of quick for the size. He's actually 3rd last year in yards after contact. So he had 21 touchdowns, was an Iowa record. So you like to see that. And 0 fumbles in 262 touches. 0. That's what I love about him.
Yeah, okay. What I love about him when I watch him, for a big back, especially a tall back, his pad level, it's really low. He doesn't expose himself. Like I'll talk about a UM running back in a minute here who does have this problem, but he doesn't. Johnson plays with a low pad level. He's a workhorse, man. I watch it in every game that I watch when you watch some all 22 in college, sometimes the play clock in the 4th quarter, he's just getting better. He's getting better. Unlike Junkins, who I said wasn't a decisive runner, he's patient, but knows when he presses in the holes there, he's really good at reading it. And it's quick and decisive. And I like that, unlike Junkins. Some of the things I didn't like, top end speed, not the best, but when he gets and he builds up, he can move downfield. When he builds up and he gets there, he's not the most creative runner, and the technique and pass pro can use some work. But again, this is a perfect kind of compliment for the Dolphins room, Jason. This big back doesn't turn it over, plays with good pad level, has size, power, good short yardage back. Oh, and
that's what the Dolphins need. So yes, he is definitely on that. But he's going to probably go a little higher. He's probably like top 70, top 80 pick.
Yeah, dude, he had eight games of 100-yard performances last year. He's productive. I mean, he's just. I like him. I like him. I like big backs who run with low pad level. It's a thing of mine. And there's one guy who we'll get to who doesn't. Even Junkins 25 bigger and better. Yeah. I mean, if you're asking me,
Well, then Simpson.
I like
Simpson.
yeah,
Caleb's comparable weight.
Yeah, I like Junkins. I like Junkins a little more than Johnson, but they're both these are the type of backs we need to be looking at. This is the area we need to be living at. These bigger backs in this draft. Good thing there's plenty of them. This guy could go second. He can go third round. Tough to tell.
I like him in late second, early third.
Yeah, I agree. All right. Go ahead, Jason.
Go. All right. I'm not going to take away one of your guys.
All right. So I put he's built different, right? Now, if you're looking for home run speed, this is not going to happen. But what the Dolphins, it's like if you're in a relationship, you're a calm person and your partner's like more intense and can speak their mind. You don't. Everything the Dolphins, everything you don't do, your partner does. Everything the Dolphins don't have in the backfield and lacking, this guy does, right? Short yardage converter, 78% of 30 short and goal line situation, he converts. He runs with lean, a 2, 3, 4 yard gain. His forward lean makes it a 5 or 6 yard gain. Big contact balance, breaks tackles, physical downhill. He just gets it. He has an it factor. He's not going to blow you away with long speed. That's not going to happen. You're not going to get a 70, 80 yard run. But what he does is what the Dolphins lack in the room. Jason, as a short yardage, early down back, sign me up for Cam Scatterbo, former teammate of Jackson Slater at Sac State.
Tone setter kind of guy in offense.
Tone setter, great word, Jason.
You could be like down 6 points in the fourth quarter, and on a drive, he's going to decimate somebody on a block to help you get a first down, and then boom, let's give him the rock Cam show. He can earn that, and he can help a team with just the blocking aspect of his game, and he does everything else that the Dolphins would want in a power back, able to receive the ball out of the backfield. And I think Tone Setter is the best way I can describe him.
Yeah, I like.
You've all seen the highlights.
I like what you said, Tone Setter. Here's the thing: throw off the norms, throw them away. The norms of height, weight, speed. Throw it out. Put on the tape. Fair. He gets it done. Like I said, he's built different. He is built different. This is the type of player. Is he going to be? You're drafting a 3 down, every down back? No. But you put him in the same room as A-Chain and Wright. Now you have a power component, short yardage component, which we're not good at. If the offensive line blocks, and let's be honest, I know we're blaming the offensive line, but how many tackles did Dolphin running backs break last year? Not many. Not many. He will.
Yeah, right? Well, right. Yeah. I mean, if you want a highlight kind of guy who's going to have people getting dragged off him to pick up first downs, this is your guy.
Old school, man. He's
not a Mike Allstott fullback, but he's the closest thing that could be that as a runner. Some of the things that Allstott would do is just game changing. He can maybe be that as a runner.
Yeah. All right. I'm curious to see where he goes, Jason.
I mean, look, someone's going to love him. I think in the late second. He's a day 2 pick for me. I think he's
third round. I feel more comfortable with him. Like if he's there at 98, let's do it, right?
Oh yeah.
I don't think no.
For my money, I can love these guys, sure, but for the Dolphins,
the Dolphins. It's tough.
We're getting to a couple of guys that I think would be pure
in day 3.
Guys.
It's tough though. Like if he's there in the 4th round, I'd do it.
And again, if you're looking at a player in the 3rd, you have other needs, you take care of that need, and then he's still there the next round. Absolutely.
God, I appreciate everybody in the chat. Octane, thank you, man. Everybody, Diveball, everybody who's in here, we appreciate it. All right, let's move on from Scatterbo now. Jaden Blue. We talked about another guy. We talked about the speed backs in this draft. He's one of them.
Another high school track star.
Yeah, another track star. This guy accelerates at top speed, probably as good as anybody in this draft. Another home run. He's a home run hitter. For the Dolphins, it's a no for me, right? We already have, again, these kind of players are going to have to fall where the value has to be so high that maybe you had him 195th on your board and you're at pick 155 and he's there. Okay. But hits full speed quick, small guy, has ball security issues. I'm done. It's like I'm done with blondes. I'm ready for some brunettes, man. Let's get some bigger bats. I changed my type, Jason.
Hey, being a Dolphin fan does that, but he's a great receiving back. Led running backs in college with receiving touchdowns out of the backfield. So he's a guy who could definitely I have to throw a name of just a comp of what his job could be, maybe like an Eckler light in a couple of years, just getting a lot of receptions and moving the chains that way. But, again, explosive. He's got tons of speed in him, so get him the ball. He's not a bell cat back, though. You're not going to get 20 carries out of him, not at all.
No, he's a zone. He's a perfect fit, change of pace guy. The problem is you're changing pace with the same kind of guy, so it doesn't work. But one thing is he doesn't have a lot of experience, a lot of carries. You can
look at who's been ahead of him.
Yeah. You can look at it as a positive or a negative, right? He's been behind a lot of great backs.
Right.
So he doesn't have a lot of tread on the tires, but also he doesn't have a lot of experience. So he's somebody on day 3, not for the Dolphins, but like if the Dolphins didn't have A-Chain, he's somebody you would look at, right?
There's like 5 guys where you need an asterisk. If the Dolphins didn't have A-Chain.
That's what I'm saying. It's a deep back. Usually you see one of them, right? There's one type of A-Chain. This year there's 4 or 5. So that's how deep the running back class is. And as I mentioned before,
I see him as a round 5 guy.
Yeah, I agree.
The complete aspect.
I agree. All right, man. Go ahead.
Now we're talking.
Now we're
talking. If you have a double 4th round and a double 5th round situation like the Dolphins do, you got to consider him top end blocker. He is going to fall forward after and through contact. He averaged 6.3 yards per carry. I don't care that he's not really a receiving threat. 3rd and short, 4th and short, Damian, pick it up. Hometown kind of guy, transferred to the University of Miami. So he's got that home field kind of familiarity in South Florida and Hard Rock Stadium, of course, but he will move the sticks on short yardage and could be a goal line scorer for the Dolphins as well. I really would hope that they consider him 4th, 5th round. 5th round would be amazing.
Yeah.
4th round,
I think that's somewhere where his home is. All right.
Here's great after contact. He won't go down.
Damian Martinez, forget the logo. He played for UM. When I watched him, I was surprised how lighter on his feet he was for a big back, for 6 foot, 217. Elusive too, man. I didn't really, the lateral agility he had and the elusiveness surprised me. I mean, I watched him at UM, but again, I'll repeat this, Jason. You probably can know when you're watching a game, then you actually go back and watch a player, you start noticing a lot of things. He's physical in between the tackles. He's got good vision between the tackles. There's a lot to like here. The one thing I mentioned, I told you about playing upright with Caleb doesn't. He does. He leaves himself exposed on that second level to the linebackers, right? A lot. So I would like him to play with a little bit lower pad level, but there's a lot of tools to work with here. The size, the ability the vision, the ability to have quick feet and be elusive for a bigger back. And he's got good speed. He's not a home run hitter, but he's got good long speed. He's 4.51. So yeah, I agree. He's a target for me for the Dolphins in round 4 or 5. And forget about if he played for UM. That's just a plus. I think he's a guy who fits. Again, this guy you might get in the 5th, 4th round, maybe a 3rd round pick in a draft with lesser depth at running back.
I mean, I think he could be better at a role than free agent signee Alexander Madison, who I like, not love. I'm not a huge fan. I mean, I know what the role is that he can do, and he can probably do that okay. But I would think that if this guy gets drafted, Martinez, he can give Madison a run for his money. He can.
Yeah, I would agree. I'd agree. He'd get it. He'd be in play for some early carries, I think. Again, another guy who complements the running back room. All right. So I'll let you start with him. He's one for me that is interesting. You go ahead first.
I mean, another guy who could be a good kind of power guy, good size. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's got like 80 catches. He kind of fell off after really a hot start. So his career didn't necessarily progress, which is why I think he's stuck in that kind of 100, 130 draft area.
5th round.
Yeah, I mean, I think
4th or 5th round.
4th or 5th round, for sure.
He's in that Damian Martinez range,
Yeah, if the Dolphins can come away with either Gordon or Martinez in the 5th round, home run. If one of those guys in the 4th round, I'm not going to argue that. I like his size. I like his. So he's another pile pusher.
He's a guy. He's a lobby player, right? Unbelievable physical specimen for that position. Big, 6'1". Yeah, unbelievable. No doubt about that. He was very, very highly thought of coming out last year or the year before. People thought this guy would be a 1st, 2nd round pick. I watched him. I didn't like what I saw at the combine because it matched what I saw on film. Now, as an early down back, right, as a early down back or short yardage back and red zone threat, all for it. He's physical. He's got good build-up speed. He's got some good contact balance. You said, again, he does stuff in the passing game, but he doesn't have a lot of creativity as a runner. I don't know if he could be a full-time runner.
No.
I don't know if he doesn't have the explosion. So I think we need to – what I had to do was lower my expectations for him. I didn't like him because I had bigger expectations. But as I watched him, okay, I see the path where you have him. Again, you take him in the 5th round. We need the size, but he's not going to be a guy who's going to come in and be a 3-down potential with big plays. That's not him.
Right.
He's early down back, complimentary back. Do what he does well and have your expectations there because, you know, the frame is unbelievable. It's NFL prototype. So, yeah, I agree. Damian Martinez or him in that 4th to 5th round range. I probably like Martinez a little bit more, but like, okay, you could sell me on in the 5th round with this type of back.
Yeah, me too. I mean, he's not a liability in blocking in that aspect of the game, which we know McDaniel values. So, yeah, for me, it's Martinez. Once you get to day 3, I'm in the give me Martinez or Gordon mode. One or two others, but that's in like later rounds. We'll
Next
get
guy.
to those guys.
All right, I'm
I
a big DJ. Yeah, I know big DJ Giddens. He's fun, man. Like, here's the problem with Giddens, though. You look at his size, Jason. Oh, here's the power back. No, it's not his game. He's 6 foot 212, but he doesn't get his yards like from breaking tackles and power. He gets it with his elusiveness. That's how he gained his wiggle between the tackles.
Direction.
Oh, changes direction. He glides, man. It's almost like I remember he's not Edgerrin James, but like that gliding style, that that change of direction and lateral agility, nowhere near Edgerrin James. What I'm saying is that kind of I love Edgerrin James type of style. This guy's not near the player. Doesn't have the power, none of that, right? Or the vision, but I like, and he doesn't turn the ball over. But here's the problem is he's got size, but he's not quite the big back we're looking for. And pass pro, he's just okay. But I like the agility, the footwork, the elusiveness. I like guys who can make people miss.
Yeah, I would say he breaks tackles via the agility as opposed to hammering
power
through them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm saying
the anti-cam.
You would look like, okay, here's a bigger back, right? Don't bet on the big power back with this guy, though, Jason, is what I'm saying.
I like his movement for his size. That elusiveness for the size.
I would take it. I would take him in the 5th round, 6th round.
That's fine. There's 2 or 3 guys.
Yeah.
Outside of Martinez and Ollie Gordon.
All right. So
he's one of them.
Devin Neal, you want to go with Devin?
Steady Eddie kind of guy,
Productive, man.
Productive. 4 years at Kansas, led school in rushing by a long shot.
A little Damian Pierce here.
Say again?
A little Damian Pierce or not?
Oh yeah, sure. But I think he used to be a solid running back in this league. I think he's a good running back.
Somebody's going to take this guy Somebody's going to take this guy in the 4th round, and he's going to end up with 1,100 yards. 1,200 yards rushing. Not
the best athlete, just a good, savvy running back.
Instinctive.
Yeah.
Chain mover, well-built frame. I mean, he has another guy. I like the ball security guy. He's not a guy you're going to say, oh, the gear changed in the open field. Not that guy. You said it's Steady Eddie. I think he had 3 straight 1,000-yard rushings. You could do a lot worse here. He could actually go. He could actually go in day 2 at the end there.
Maybe because he does everything okay. He doesn't
do anything great, but he's a
solid or have any like glaring negatives that he can't do.
Like he could be a solid starting NFL running back.
Yes, absolutely.
I agree. Again, productive and very smart. Very smart. Very smart. I think he's Kansas' all-time leading rusher. So
by a long shot on less carries.
Yeah, one thing he does do is he plants his foot and accelerates. So I know he doesn't have big home run speed, but he does that really well. That's something that caught my eye. But I like him. I think you're getting a solid, Steady Eddie. I think you said it bet, Jason.
If you get him in the 4th,
we're gonna wrap it up with your guy here.
Yes,
this is your guy. Go ahead, take us home here.
I think if you can get him in the 7th, he's a guy who could be a receiving threat. Like 3rd down, you put him into catch a ball out of the backfield. Absolutely. He can definitely help in the blocking area. I think that again in the 7th round, you have 3 picks. One of them could be one of these running backs, or just a running back who could have a role. And I think Allen could be a role in receiving the ball out of the backfield too. So I like what he can bring to the Dolphins.
Yeah, shout out to Jonathan. What's going on, brother? Thanks for coming in as we're wrapping things up. What I like about him is
special teamer, maybe.
Yeah, I like his route running. I like him as a 3rd down specialist to come in early. And he's he's a savvy little inside runner. I watched him. I didn't know as much about him. You brought him to my attention. I like him. He runs upright. He's not overly explosive, again, but he's a really good route runner.
Really good.
To me, he's a third down. He's a third down specialist kind of guy. So, fifth, sixth round, fine with me, right? Again, nothing stands out about him, but he's really good at what he does, and I think he's somebody you rely on really on third downs. That's where I really stood out to me with him.
64 receptions out of the backfield, led running backs. So that's a specialist, someone who could do something, not a special teamer, who he can actually maybe get a little involved in special teams too, but he could have a fit, sound role on this team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
that wraps up our scouting reports. I hope you guys liked all these scouting reports. We had about almost 120. We had 118, I believe. I think this is a position the Dolphins will be not so fast, my friend. Shout out to Lee Corso. Well done, Dougie.
Well done.
So I think this position the Dolphins could be looking at in the middle rounds. Really, really fun, deep group. Again, me and you agree with power at that position. So, we're a week away. The schedule, I'll be back on Monday. We'll be doing something, obviously, the day of the draft, maybe the day before. Jason and I, we're still working out the schedule. Regardless, we'll figure something out, and I'll let you know what we're doing exactly through social media. Just follow us on Twitter and or X, and I'll announce our schedule and our shows. But we're excited. We hope you guys enjoyed all the scouting reports we did, get you ready for the draft. We got more shows coming, and of course, after the draft, the on-season will have a special recap as well, of course. So it's fun times. Jason, it's almost here, man.
Christmas is coming. It's almost here. Let's hope for picks that are better.
Jason, I'm not a huge wrestling fan. Jonathan says I need WrestleMania picks.
I used to be a huge wrestling guy. I love and appreciate it.
I
don't know the card. I don't know what's going on. But yes, wrestling's coming back in a big way because I think the creativity.
Yeah, I used to be a huge.
The storytelling is awesome again. So
I used to be it's great. It's soap opera for men. That's basically what it is, right? It's
I mean, in my heyday of high school,
I was a Sting. Sting was my guy.
In high school was the Monday Night Wars for me. Sophomore, junior, senior year, that was like prime WCW versus WWF to E. So I'll get back, Jonathan, and I hope by this time next year I can answer that question exactly the way you wanted to.
Shout out to the Fins TV. They're back this Tuesday. I believe I'll be making an appearance after the draft on that show on the 29th. I got to double check. But, check those guys out. They're
Sammy's the best. The Scorsese of Dolphins YouTubers in terms of getting his videos together.
Yeah, I got to get with him on that. All right. I guess that's it. We will see you next week. The draft's almost here. We are excited, and we hope you all enjoyed this episode, and we'll see you next time, guys. Take care.